Today here we are at the Kyoto Jidai Matsuri, one of the three big festivals of Kyoto. And this is the beginning of the great parade where we will go through the many different periods of historical Japan. So let's see what kind of warriors and officials and peasants we get to see today. Japan has a lot of festivals. Now, relative to other countries, maybe it has less, and maybe it's just happy coincidence that I find festivals so easily. But somehow, there is a famous historical thing that just seems to casually have an anniversary all the time. The Jidai Matsuri is one of Kyoto's three great festivals and depicts eras in reverse chronological order. So you get to time travel through Japan's past. It traces a handy path from the Imperial Palace all the way through the streets. So even if you have no idea that there was a festival and you were just going off to KFC or something, oh look, there's another festival. Oh yeah, this happens at least once a month. Yeah, the armor and swords and everything. It's probably better that there are constant festivals. It means that whenever you are just there, something is bound to be going down. In Australia, we have like 2 festivals maybe annually, and one of them is just New Year's Eve, where we celebrate the vaunted tradition of existing. Anyway, on the day, it was raining. It wasn't crazy rain, but it was projected to be pretty medium. So not a drizzle, but not pissing down either. It was my sincere hope that the rain would drive away the crowds, but it was not to be. Disdaining the use of an umbrella because masculinity in my youth was just getting wet and not crying about it. Who do you think I am, Mary Poppins? We arrived and tried to find a nice viewing spot for the parade. It was a sea of umbrellas and phones. Finding a short couple with a clear plastic umbrella meant we had a relatively good line of sight to the walkway. The gap between their short heads and the clear umbrella meant there was only minor obstructions to the viewing experience. In what would be a running theme later on, the police horse refused to listen to commands and decided to throw a fit in public. We have to start it off strong with Victorian-style horse carriages, a very Japanese symbol. What would follow were various people in various costumes. We start with giant banners, which most of the crowd have no idea what they mean. Followed by Boshin War Shaguma Hat Cavalry. And a band. And guys with rifles. Again, most people there have no idea what is going on. We're just here to see culture, not understand it. I think there's a reason they start with the most modern period first, because let's be real, everyone's there to see samurai. Oh, samurai! But you gotta wait! You have to see these guys that no one outside of Japan knows about first. What was interesting were these Edo period samurai, wearing these kataginu vests with the raised shoulders, and they just appeared after a section was over. And eventually, I worked out that they were just like bookmarks to each period, letting everyone know that we're moving on to the next period. Maybe the giant banners tell people what period it is, but I don't know. So while everyone was waiting for samurai in the rain, oh look, there's samurai! Oh, it's just one. We're back to randoms in robes again. We get all kinds of variations of guys in robes and hats. I feel bad for the people without the hats. There are some parade participants who clearly are upset that they're getting rained on without an umbrella. One of those people is myself, but at least the umbrellas of my neighbors partially deflects the rain away. These guys I'm watching get nothing. I saw one of the assistant staff marching with crossed arms, like she was upset that she had to walk in the rain. And you know what? That's a fair sentiment. Why don't the staff get umbrellas? Is it gonna break immersion? I don't know, like, I see smartphones everywhere I look, and modern umbrellas. There's not that much immersion to begin with. There's French and Spanish and English being spoken around me. Yeah, real immersive. I feel like I'm in the Edo period now.
Even though it was a large crowd, tightly packed, it was nothing like the Tokyo Metro because people aren't forced against each other. I have never been intimate with so many people at the same time outside of Alcoholics Anonymous. It's weird to be so closely pressed against people you know nothing about in a non-emotional context, but that's just a standard afternoon in Tokyo. Every office worker has been non-emotionally intimate with everyone else, I guess. One time when I was traveling with luggage, the handle of my luggage fell against a man's ass and I reached down with fingers in what I can only describe as a hook-like gesture, and I hook grabbed his ass by mistake. I felt relief because public sexual assault against men is more socially acceptable. I'm just saying. Luckily, most of these guys get the big rain hats. Even the bookmark crowd at the end get the big hats. They saw how smart the hats were. Everyone collectively wondered if it was samurai time. And oh, it's just a princess in a shopping trolley. Then there's more guys in robes. Now, as the rain increased, the idea that more people would leave seemed to also increase in probability. So I stayed put, hoping that I could endure the suffering more than everyone else. However, for the time being, no one would budge. Why were they here? Do we all just like guys in robes? I'm there specifically because I'm a war history enthusiast and historical miniatures collector. What's keeping everyone else in the pelting rain? Are we all just war history enthusiasts? Do we all just commit to things until the end? I don't know. If I was a layman, I don't think I'd find this very compelling. But I kind of understand the sunk cost of having traveled across an ocean to be here and feeling the obligation to do cultural things, and this being one of the pinnacles of local culture. Maybe people don't actually want to be here, but they feel like they have to be here because the alternative is watching YouTube at the hotel. Finally, after the bookmark guys, it was finally time. It was the beginning of samurai time. Samurai time. This is what gets the crowd excited. Samurai are embedded in the popular consciousness in a way that no other Asian warrior type is. Except maybe the Mongols. Maybe. I heard an American tourist go, "Oh look, it's a real shogun. That's a real shogun." That's a real shogun? Okay, just discounting that shogun as a military title hasn't existed in over 100 years. What makes a person visually distinct as a shogun? It's not the armor, because warlords commissioned their own armor, and there wasn't a distinct shogun-style armor. It wasn't a person's face. So what is it? Or did people watch the TV show Shogun and assume everyone is a shogun? I hope that people go around asking random people in armor if they are the shogun. If I wanted to be the most tourist that ever touristed, I would ask each armored warrior as they passed if they are the shogun and why so many shoguns came out today. I was never so disappointed to see the bookmark guys, and I hoped that it wasn't the end of samurai time. Luckily, samurai was still popping past, but I could tell we were no longer in the Sengoku Jidai, because there are a lot more hats than helmets. It was already getting pretty roby, so I was sure that the next segment would be back to robes. I actually saw some people leave after the samurai segment, and heard someone go, "Alright, that's enough of that, we're going." So this is anecdotal, but I think a lot of people genuinely did come just for samurai. Or maybe it's like a internal calculation. As the rain increases, the chance of samurai decreases as the samurai segment has already passed, and the chance of repeat segments is increasingly lower, so maybe it's not worth staying in the rain. As people left, my view got increasingly better, but the lower density of people meant that the rain protection coverage was decreased, and I had to lean closer to the people in front of me with the clear plastic umbrella. The rain started to increase, and every now and again, rain would collect on the umbrella next to me, the person would shake their umbrella, and it was like getting rained on twice at the same time. Seeing the earlier period samurai was nice. It's more novel than the more common depiction of more modern armors of the Sengoku Jidai. It's a kind of armor from around the time of the Mongol invasion. Speaking generally of crowds, Japan claims to have an over-tourism problem. And really, I can see it. I'm not gonna film the tourists, so you don't get to see it. but in the most popular places of Tokyo, it genuinely feels like it's 40% tourists. I mean, I don't know how big of an issue this is. Each tourist represents a walking wallet. If you don't like the wallets, that's fine, but it's a nice problem to have. It's not a perfect world. Tourists can be annoying, but dollars are nice. Pick your poison. They're all just trying to see a real shogun. If you eat at Shogun Burger, it's like eating at the Shogun's palace. Now we get washerwomen, which is a nice change. Apparently this segment is a procession of women from the Middle Ages, so you know that no one here has any rights. It's kind of like seeing a village get paraded in front of you. At least it's colourful and everyone is trying with the period accurate costumes. If you accept the idea that things other than samurai are worth seeing, then if just for the historical cosplay, I guess it's alright. It is one of Kyoto's 3 most important festivals of the year, I guess. After that, a bunch of guys who aren't samurai appear, but this is a surprisingly short segment, before the next bookmark guys show up. Maybe this time period was just really short for some reason. Then there's a cool portable shrine, and then some Japanese hero, maybe, who is on the cover for all the posters, but her horse refused to start and almost tried to buck her off. She almost died! The whole parade had to awkwardly stop while the horse handlers had to calm the horse down, because the horse didn't want to walk in the rain, and fair enough. So anyways, they get her going and a bunch of expensive looking people follow as an entourage. There's a lot of makeup and individuals, so I assume they're meant to be important. Finally, we get to the last period in the parade, because they didn't want to go back any further in time and people have to go home at some point. There's some pretty cool armors for pre-samurai Japan. And at this point, there's some great views because most people had left, but the rain had started to clear up. But obviously, people didn't care because they weren't samurai technically, as samurai didn't exist in this time frame. Obviously, that was why a lot of people had gone away. To round out the parade were more guys in robes who no one knew about unless you were native Japanese. It starts out as normal people with robes, but they have to up the ante somehow, so there are increasingly fluffy robes, and you even get hats. One of the officials' horses stopped to take a giant piss in the middle of the walkway, and I don't know if it's a sign from the gods on this auspicious day. This guy is staring at the giant piss puddle, huge puddle of piss that is forming right next to him, and is impressed by the vigor of the horse he is accompanying. I saw everyone taking care to not walk in the giant piss puddle as they walked past, as they wheeled their drum contraption, or wore black robes, or robes that dragged behind them as they walked. No one wanted to touch the piss puddle. Predictably, more guys in robes passed before they wheeled out the big Mikoshi shrine, and then a host of big, impressive ceremonial implements. Then we did the shrine again, just in case you missed it the first time. And we're back to the Victorian horse carriages for some reason. Then there are people with giant fruit baskets on their heads. And then some random archers with big black hats. Originate from the steppe. That's cool. And then a modern military truck appears to mark the end of the parade. Technically, the parade wasn't over. They have to bring the parade to you so you don't forget. So it goes off into the street, blocking the traffic while everyone getting food gets a nice diversion. I could finally get up close to the samurai. Next to the historical family mart, a key objective of conquest for the Sanjo Meitengai region. I really do like seeing armors up close. It's nice that Japan has a living armor tradition that has continued to modernity. They're one of the few Asian countries to do so. You can therefore conceivably see a shogun, go to Family Mart to buy a sandwich or something for the other shoguns. So many shoguns today, very cool. Meanwhile, the crowds at the park were already beginning to leave. In time, what was once a packed, congested crowd would disperse into nothing, and the park grounds would once again become its quiet, usual expanse. I tried to find the historic piss puddle from the parade. Was it this patch? Or perhaps this one? I could not know. There were too many wet patches that marked the movement of figures like shadows imprinted upon the ground, already fading along with the crowds, and with them, the rest of the day itself. Maybe the real piss puddles were all the patches I saw on the ground along the way. Apparently, one of the horses also took a giant shit on the parade, but I missed it. I couldn't see the shit, so I couldn't film that, unfortunately. Many thanks to my Patreon supporters, the Command Bunker, Mikhail Belusov, and Cream of the Meme. Thank you for all the support, fellas. So there we have it. That was the end of the Kyoto Jidai Matsuri. It was a great festival, great parade, and now we're about to see the modern truck at the front of the view right now. And that should mark the modern shrine from the end of the parade. So it was a good time. I got rained on most of the time, and I hope to see you guys for the next video.